supervisor sees it. Shout out to Dr. Wonder, everybody.
Shout out Dr. Wonder, baby. Hey.
She's a wonderful. Yeah.
All right, so I hope you guys have taken your pictures, but even if you haven't and you're still working on your ideas, that's totally okay, because this might actually help you with some of your ideas. You might have some different things that you want to do. So just right now, just some of the things, let me lay it out for you what I have here. So I have a picture of where all of these little pictures came from. Now again, you can work with multiple pictures. It doesn't have to be one. In fact, I would encourage you to take multiple pictures because this one you'll see here, some of the quality of them is like not so good. I blew it up, but hopefully you guys will have different looking things than that. Unless that's your idea, unclear. It's unclear. I don't know. It's this way, that way, gray area. So on note of scissors, really quick, there's a couple different types of scissors that you can use. And they will have different effects. We also have stylistic ones somewhere in here. Chiz, you know where the stylistic scissors are in here? They cut like weird patterns. That's all right. Even if
I
not.
do have those somewhere.
We do have them somewhere. They cut like patterns and do. I'm sure you've seen them. But for this one here, I use these ones. So if you look at the blades of the scissors, they do have different patterns. And although it won't look too different from far away, if you look up close, it'll be different. This one here has like a little bit of teeth on it, a little bit of toothed blade and such. So if you cut something with that, you'll see the difference. Here, I'll show you. Cut it, slip off. You can even hear it. Yeah? And so you have like a little bit of a texture there. If that's something you find desirable, then that's definitely something that you can do. We also have those crazy ones there, which if you cut them in a certain way, it'll maybe help to blend it a little bit, especially if you're working with skies or things that don't necessarily need that hard edge or whatever, but that's something we can check out.
Can we rip edges?
You can rip edges, yeah. There's a whole, now David Hockney's work is very clean cut. It's, he has mostly shapes that are rectangles or squares or whatever, but that's although we're doing something inspired by him, it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly how he does it. You can rip it, we can go through different ripping techniques and stuff, but these ones are the scissors you're going to want to use if you're looking for a similar effect. Just a nice, hear it? Real nice. There. So I printed out this picture here just so I can reference while I'm rearranging it, which is something you might consider depending on what you're doing. Yeah, so David Hockney's work, let's see here. So he plays with it kind of in a puzzly way. Kind of puzzling. No. Nonsense. No. All right. So you can play with that and mix it up a little bit. These are not even in the order. I even kind of, I zoomed in on them so we can get that different effect, and you can do that too. You can also do like maybe slightly disjointed, Maybe if like, it might help. I don't know if it helps you, but it helps me to blur my eyes a little bit when I'm working with this. Just squint my eyes a tad. I can even just take out my glasses. No, I'm just kidding. No. And so you can play with photo manipulation. Now, we can go over how to do some of that stuff on the computer. Now, we said you can do a little bit of different color changes. You can resize it, you can zoom in, you can maybe do specific shapes. I didn't cut any circles, but you could cut a circle or something, or a star, or whatever. Different ways of doing it, and we can handle the cut paper later. I'll show you that as well. But here I have two different versions of the chimney stack cut out. Now maybe what if I wanted to do one where like I hyperextend it? Here, like you can play with scale on different kinds of weird ways. You might even consider doing what is, most standing out to you. Like that's what I decided. Some of my favorite parts here, and I'll point them out to you here, with this little house right here. See? Got a little house. And I like the chimney stack, and I also like the rows of houses there. And I also really like this tree here. That's standing up there. So those are kind of the points I took. I didn't even take all of them, but I could have. Now, on note of added elements, because I didn't take all of the elements, if I put it all together, we'll just place it here, you'll notice that it doesn't really make a full composition. It's kind of disjointed. Whatever, what have you. But if I wanted to put, if I wanted the sky in there, maybe I wanted to do the sky a little bit differently, you can do paint, you can do colored pencils. You can even potentially do cut paper to recreate stuff like that. All that stuff's available. Obviously, it's mixed media.
And then I don't know if I was distracted. They said, they can draw directly on top of these photographs too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
or
sure.
sew
Yeah.
into them, or add like cut paper into parts of it.
So the manipulation extends past just digital manipulation. If you guys wanted to do some type of inking over it or some type of stylistic choice or whatever, and it'll definitely take some playing out, which brings me basically to the rearranging in the pictures of it. So when you guys are planning these things out, I know the temptation might be there to say, well, I don't really have an idea for this. This is kind of overwhelming. I'm just literally going to start gluing them down. Whatever. Now, that may work for some, but you'll find that, you know, as you go along, you might come across a really good idea and then be like, well, now you have to reprint all of your pictures, and that's annoying, and cut it out. Or worse yet, you'll commit to just being like, oh, whatever, just glue them all down, you know. But that's
just
not
wait
necessarily what you want to do.
Your point is just wait to the last possible moment to glue things down.
So just a couple different ideas of how to arrange them. We talked about David Hockney's work and stuff. I thought maybe for this one specifically, it would be interesting to do like a spiral one or what have you. Like, you see that, Chiz?
Mm-hmm.
Got that?
I'm seeing.
Yeah, something like that, where you're almost playing with it in a Doctor Strange-esque way. Ooh. No. So you can do all these different things, whatever. So when you're taking the pictures, that's going to help you choose your favorite setup. You can look at the different setups that you did like side by side, and maybe it'll even help you plan where you're going to put some drawn elements in. That'll be good. But just generally, planning is going to be your friend during this project because it's a little bit weird. It's a little bit disjointed, what have you. So let's do. What do you think, guys? You want to do like a traditional setup with this?
No, spiral.
Spiral setup? Yo, you're feeling it. All right.
I'm gonna
So-
can I quick mention? Okay, notice he has a color scheme established with the paper. Like when he took the photographs, there's like it's sort of a blue, orange, with neutrals in there with some of those buildings and maybe some whites. There's already so much variety in the photographs that if you're gonna add other materials, still maybe keep them in a similar color scheme, so it'll feel like it all goes together. I can see where some people might get too nutty and have too much going on. That's always an issue with mixed media, is that you can go too much. And you know, color is a great way to unify what's going on here. Do you concur?
I concur, Dr. Chizdek.
Okay.
Yeah. So we don't have too many here, but now imagine what something like this would look like. Look at that. Kind of. If I then had this even smaller and smaller and smaller, and we get bigger and bigger and bigger, we maybe spiral out to a larger piece, what have you. Here we'll get, I have these on here. You ever see those pictures that people take with the panorama that makes it look like it's all in a row, like in a ball?
So you're like lining it up where like the horizon line is, or whatever.
Yeah, right now what I'm specifically paying attention to is the tops of the buildings and the trees and stuff like that. And if I was doing this, you know, on my own, I would definitely try to have the trees all full here and none of them cut off here to create kind of a visual harmony, because I think the sky is going to blend way better together with itself. That's maybe something to consider too. You'll see the cuts on your paper much more evidently than you would if it was a very complicated section of the photo than it is if it's just like the sky or a solid color or stuff. And yeah, so that's a good point, Dan. Here you go. So when you're cutting it, just make sure you're paying attention to stuff like that. Like here we go. These two pictures are the same. See, but and I cut them, you guys see that? I cut them all down like by the window. Like it was kind of random cutting for this. But if you're strategically cutting it here, I potentially could have cut alongside the houses. Like how would it have been different if I would have cut it along this line right here, you know? And then like you could potentially, like, in a strange and almost kind of fun way, this project is all about photo manipulation, both digital and by hand, which is fun. So you can pre-plan that stuff out. If this spiral technique's grabbing you, maybe you'll show me up. You're like, Mr. B, look at this. Yeah, and trees might actually, trees are like, they're standing out here, but that could even potentially be a technique that you use to blend it all together too, because they will almost kind of, if you split two trees in half, you might be able to merge these two areas a little bit more seamlessly. What have you. Kind of like a horn. You feel me? Yeah. It's like a snail.
Oh my, it just looks like a
Damn.
huge finger. I can't get it.
And I'm gonna slap that one in the center because I like it the most. So I made this for my thing here because initially when I took this picture, there was a window frame around the window. I didn't like it at the time, so I cut it out if you wanted it to be a little bit different. But you can do stuff like this, just add random nonsense. Random nonsense. And depending on how you play with it, obviously it doesn't look like it was designed for that, but there's different ways that you can play with it. I don't know, I can blur my eyes a little bit. No. Yeah. What have you? Yes? Questions? You sure? All right, now I'm going to show you real quick how to do gel medium. Bam. Liquitex Professional. Look at that. Spin it around. Bam. Yeah, it is a varnish. Most of these are archival friendly and also acid free. What that means, by the way, is that if it's archival, unlike masking tape, it'll last through the years. Masking or archival stuff is that it's archival quality. That's what they call it. It's what artists use when they are hoping that their works are going to stay around for a while. They wanted to maintain that thing. If you've ever tried to pull old masking tape off of a piece of paper, nope, it does not go well. It'll peel off on its own, it'll rip it, whatever, it gets discolored, it's no good. This is something that won't do that. And because it's acid free too, it'll have a hold that's a little bit more flexible. So it'll be something that's a little bit, better than your typical glue stick or maybe even some types of watered down glues like Elmer's is not acid free. So it'll be a little bit more brittle. Whereas this, because it's got no acid in it, is going to be a lot more flexible. Yes. Bam! Pop that sucker open. Just a pinch. A dab will do you, folks.
No.
A dab will do you. So this will act as an adhesive scoosh. Bam. See, look at that. By the way,
Just ruined
Easy
it.
come, easy go.
if you are working on your setup and you sneeze, I know. So just, think of taking pictures as the save point on a large file on your computer that it might get deleted on. Yes.
So you're saying take photographs of your setup.
Yeah, definitely. Even in progress photos, like you might think, you could take photos for complete setups, or you could take it for literally elements of it. Like say you want to change one thing or another. And you can focus into on the points where they connect, which is sometimes the most important thing. So I'm going to put a little bit here on the back.
Yeah. So what we're saying is that when they're printed out here, they're just this wussy little piece of paper, and you want to make this thing a little bit more like, serious type of image that you could actually sew into or draw on. So by putting this gel medium, which draws like plastic on the back and the front, or even attached to another piece of paper, it's a much more, what's a good word for it? Much more
Tough nuggets.
Tough nuggets. It's a nice tough nuggets image because they're just kind of because they come off this paper. Now I'll tell you though, if some of you have access to the Google world and the printer's out in the hallway, you can actually cut this stuff down and put it on the side. It doesn't work as well over here, but you could actually take it out and you can put watercolor paper through it. You know what I mean? And you can print on this stuff too. So you can try these things out. There's also photo transfer stuff that could be interesting for this too.
Yeah, plenty of stuff.
Plenty of stuff.
Lots of freedoms.
All right, so what'd you do there? You put it on the back and on the front?
I did put it on the back. I haven't put it on the front yet, but
Okay.
right now what I'm doing is I'm just going under and tucking all the edges. See, I like to do this because then I'm not painting all over the desk. And when yeah, oh man. Especially, oh guys, with a cut paper project, you really got to be careful where you're getting those adhesives. Especially if you have all your elements cut out, put in a pile like myself. Bam.
And you have to be careful that there's not a lot of water in your brush or anything like that, because water on that paper is going to make it, you know. So
Too hydrated.
yeah, too hydrated. It will buckle away on you. You don't want that.
So you do this step after you like confirmed or you want everything to go.
After you've played with the setups, you've done all the stuff, you've gone through your setups on your phone. Hopefully, you do have a couple of them. You're experimenting, seeing these different things, and you sure, yeah. And then you wanna analyze, kind of think in a layered way. When you're going through your pictures, think like maybe which one should go down first. You know, because once you put it down, you're not getting it back up. With the art
Yeah,
copy.
get them all prepped, all done before you literally attach it to the bottom board.
Yeah, and if you're doing a section at a time, like I did it on that paper, but you could even potentially do this, which you'll get less of a wavy effect like I just got there.
What size board are we thinking for this? So like a 20 by 30 board?
Yeah, like a 20 by 30 board. Definitely get one that you're gonna be able to get all your things on. If you want to be conscious of the negative space, you look at that. Look at that. Super flat. But yeah, be conscious of the negative space that you want to have on your piece, because you're going to have to choose a board that's going to support that. If you really want a decent amount of negative space, if that's important to your thing, or you're adding, drawn elements or whatever, stuff like that. Drawn elements, you're going to want to plan for that. But again, that goes back to the taking pictures thing. You want to have that prepared. It's coming up a little bit. That just there. We can work it down a little bit. What have you. And then I'm literally, why don't we, just for funsies, we'll rip one of them. Oh God, oh no. I'm just kidding. Look at that, that was a straight line, wasn't it? Let's get one. So you can do stuff like that, I know, right? Oh, what's your brushes? Oh, you know it?
Yes.
You can. Alright, so if you want to rip it in a fun way, there's kind of fun ways you can do that. You can put your hand on it there. Yeah. You can maybe pull on different parts of it to get different angles of it ripped. Whatever. Just fun, kind of strategic ripping. Stuff like that, so you get different looks. We'll see. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Any ideas brewing?
Gel medium can actually be colored. Like you could throw a little of acrylic in there if you want to if you want to make it like a little bluer or maybe more orangier. So when you put that on there, it will dry clear, but you could flavor it a smidge.
And this one too is a gloss medium, but they do have matte ones. I'm not sure if we do have matte
I don't know
here.
that we do.
I
We
think we're out of
usually
it.
do. I think we're out too.
I think we're out of it, but they do have various different ones. You could mix some paints into it too, though, if you wanted like a light.
Yeah, even something like a little bit of a brown, and things might look more aged or old or yeah.
Pinch sepia.
Sepia.
What have you? Cool. Bam. Yours will look better than this. Don't sweat. What you mean doubt it? Dan, this is not planned out. See? Look at that. I didn't plan this out and I started gluing it down, folks. Does it look good? No way. No way. No, no,
That's
no.
what I could do.
Again. Plan. Make a plan, Stan. You got it?
All right, before you run off, raise your hand if you've taken your photos. Okay,
Okay, I'm like
excellent. Those of you who did not raise your hand, get it together. Get
Okay.
in
Don't we
here
still
and we're
have the
gonna.
other project that you get
do still
two
have other
projects to do?
Right, but I know, but you can always
We have other stuff running.
get your photos.
Those of
taken.
you who
Which one
have
do you want
taken
to-
your pictures and have not printed them out yet, I can help you over at the computer to get it on there if you do still need
You
it.
could work either
Yeah.
one. I just some people needed the nudge to take the
You need
pictures.
my
You
help?
took your
I got
pictures,
your
so you're
back.
good.
For that, I got your back. All right,
Okay, and don't forget about sketchbook this week, industrial.
all good. Solid. Bye, Dr. Wonder.